Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Blacklogic. So we're going to dissect the latest happenings in politics today. So we're going to start with a very significant development on Capitol Hill because Senator Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has made a surprising move to agreeing to advance a Republican-led funding bill to prevent a government shutdown. Again, I don't have any recollection or any idea why a government shutdown is major news. Now, it should be major news that the government is shutting down. Everyone should be very aware of that, but this should never come to terms. And this has been happening for a very long time of this whole let's the Democrats and Republicans fight over a budget because we're not getting our omnibus bills and now undercut tables and contracts signed through this legislation of the new government budget. And this has been happening for quite some time. Everyone is preaching about bipartisanship, but no one is being bipartisan. Well, Chuck Schumer is now seeming to be a little more bipartisan as he is, again, a very staunch Democrat. So this is good that he understands the gravity of a government shutdown and the many Americans that it will affect. Of course, this decision has sent shockwaves through Democratic base because with some viewing it as a necessary compromise and others as a copulation, Schumer emphasized that the bill isn't perfect. A shutdown will grant President Trump and Elon Musk unchecked power to further dismantle federal operations. So again, he looks at this as an opportunity of President Trump and Elon Musk to further have control and power over the government as well as the country. This is what Chuck Schumer stated. And Trump has taken a blowtorch to our country and wielded chaos like a weapon, he states. This move underscores the complex dynamics at play as Democrats navigate their role in a majority Republican-controlled government. So again, it seems as though he believes the bigger play here is to approve the budget, even though he doesn't agree with everything, which no Democrat nor Republican agrees with every single thing that the other side does. None of them do. Again, a government shutdown. I wonder if other governments go through this. I wonder, do other countries and governments go through every year or every 2 years, them telling that it would be a government shutdown? I wonder if that is a tell of the tape. Something to think about. Now, the Kremlin has expressed cautious optimism regarding President Trump's proposal for a 30-day ceasefire in Ukraine. And of course, President Putin acknowledged the proposal. He acknowledged the proposal, but highlighted the need to address underlying issues to ensure lasting peace. Now, he raised concerns about the Ukrainian troops encircled in Russia's Kursk region and questioned whether Ukraine might use a ceasefire to rearm. Again, I stated yesterday that this is a way that President Putin is using manipulation in his negotiation for a ceasefire with Ukraine. You know that if Ukraine take this opportunity to rearm, that Russia is 5 times more powerful than Ukraine, probably even more than that, that you will plummet Ukraine without the assistance of NATO, EU nations, as well as America. Now, this situation places Putin in a very delicate position because now he is balancing domestic expectations with international diplomatic pressures. He's like, okay, what is more beneficial for Russia? Again, he's the president of Russia. So again, I can look at how he's looking at it from both sides. Again, I'm gonna keep you guys abreast and updated on this particular story because again, this is an ongoing war for the past 3 years or so. And it's very important to the American citizen because again, our tax dollars, our tax dollars, our tax dollars. I'll give you guys a little more insight on the war.
In his first comments on President Trump's 30-day ceasefire proposal, which was already accepted by Ukraine, Russia's President Putin tonight said he's in favor of the idea, then gave several reasons why he's not agreeing to it for now. The idea itself is right, and we absolutely support it, but there are questions we should discuss, he said, suggesting he'll call President Trump directly. President Putin went on to say a military pause would give Ukraine time to regroup and rearm, while Russian forces are making gains on the battlefield, especially in the Russian province of Kursk. where Putin just visited, donning fatigues and speaking of victory and new buffer zones.
Well, we'd like to see a ceasefire from Russia.
Still, President Trump described Putin's comments tonight as encouraging.
He put out a very promising statement, but it wasn't complete. Now we're going to see whether or not Russia's there, and if they're not, it'll be a very disappointing moment for the world.
On the front lines in Ukraine, troops aren't putting down the guns yet. They doubt Putin is seriously considering ending the war. This soldier is scanning the sky for Russian drones. Even with all this talk of a ceasefire, soldiers out here say they're seeing no let-up.
The only thing I'm going to tell you guys is that these news people who go to these war-torn countries and get inside of military vehicles and just with a bulletproof vest on, they're brave. They're brave. I'm just going to give it to them. I wouldn't do that if I wasn't prior military and I'm just a newscaster. No, thank you. Yeah, Bill, give us a report there in Ukraine. I'll be back in the office. I just had to break up the monotony. I'm sorry, folks. I had to break up the monotony, but I give my hat off to news anchor people who go out into the field and to war zones and danger zones and battlefields and report the news. Astronomical. You're brave because you don't have a weapon. You may have a little small security detail around you, and you have a bulletproof vest on and maybe a Kevlar or helmet. But yeah, salute to you, sir. I just give you props because again, I want a weapon. I want my regular warrior setup. I'll just say that I want my 240 rounds. I want my M4. I want my Beretta, my 9mm, whatever it is. I want all of my gear. I want my 2 or 3 grenades. I want everything. Okay, don't just give me a bulletproof vest. I'm out the press. They're gonna shoot you too. They don't care if you're the press. We're at war. It's going to be innocent casualties all over the place. Okay, but again, Ukraine believes that Russia is just doing this to buy time for whatever reason, and Russia is touting the same thing. They're repeating the same thing all over again. So again, we're going to look at that as well. Okay, we're going to look at that as well. Now, I don't know if you guys, I reported this yesterday because a federal judge has ordered that the Trump administration to reinstate thousands of probationary federal workers who were terminated in mass firing across multiple agencies. The judge found legal issues with a manner in which these terminations were conducted, leading to this significant ruling. And the Trump administration has signaled its intent to appeal, framing the order as an overreach into the president's authority over federal employment decisions. And what we're getting out of this, it adds another layer to the ongoing debate about the size and efficiency of the federal government. And it was another federal judge that came out and basically stating that this is unconstitutional, this is not right. These guys were hired during a probationary term, and you do not have the right nor the power, okay, or the authorization to fire these folks without just cause. You're just firing people because there is fraud, waste, and abuse in the government. Okay, these people who are on probationary terms are not part of that fraud, waste, and abuse. But though Trump administration comes out and says they are part of the fraud, waste, and abuse because we don't need that many people. We have all these government entities and all these government organizations that's oversighting, that's overseeing all these state and or other federal government entities. And it's just all these thousands of people working for the federal government, but no work is really getting done. And matter of fact, it's increasing our debt. I said this before that I believe that Doge was moving too quickly. They were moving too fast and that they were laying off people and cutting budgets too fast. Not that it doesn't need to be done. I'm not stating that. I'm just stating that I believe because they gave themselves 2 years to cut the budget by $1 trillion. Okay, that's very ambitious. But I just believe that this all together is taking quite some time. So again, that's something to look at all together. All right, let me see here. North Carolina, I don't know if you guys are aware of this story either, but in North Carolina, a town hall meeting descended into chaos as constituents expressed their frustration vocally, leading to a congressman being escorted out of the building amidst a chorus of boos. And this particular incident reflects the growing tensions between elected officials and communities that they serve, highlighting the deep-seated frustration that many citizens feel about their representation and the direction of current policies. There's a lot going on when it comes to the firing of all of these federal workers. Absolutely.
Workforce. Our senior political correspondent, Rachel Scott, has the latest on that story in the anger over the cuts. Good morning, Rachel.
Michael, good morning to you. And these sweeping cuts by the Trump administration and mass firings not only prompting legal pushback in the courts, but also from voters across the country, too, who are now confronting their Republican representatives at town halls. Overnight, a heated town hall in Asheville, North Carolina.
So again, this town hall, this meeting, a lot of things are just going on, and this is all based upon the federal workforce. Are you guys familiar with this one?
Yeah. Where'd you recruit most of them from? And what is it that makes you choose, the Treasury or Social Security or USAID? How does it work? Let the public know, please.
Right. Well, we just basically follow the money. We look at the president's executive orders, and we also just follow the money. So
I just wanted to bring you guys abreast of this particular interview because that's the interview I was talking about where they were talking about records. And now they're stating how Elon Musk's team inflated, deleted, and rewrote its savings claims. Now they're stating that Doge is committing crime, that Doge is committing fraud, waste, and abuse in some regards. Because his team is under scrutiny following reports that they inflated, deleted, and rewrote claims about financial savings. There's a lot going on. And later, what I'm going to cover is this story right here. Okay? Later this evening, I'm going to cover some of these stories. I'm just giving you guys a brief overview of some of the things I'm going to cover. But nonetheless, I thank you for joining me here this morning. You guys have a great and wonderful day. If you're new to Blacklogic, please subscribe to the channel. I see the Informant Media and Volvo. Thank you guys for joining me. But I'll see you guys this evening. I want to hold off on these last two stories because there's a little more insight I want to get into. You guys have a great and wonderful morning. This is Blacklogic.